What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Are you guys tired of me yet? I spent most of the afternoon with you guys tomorrow. Talked a little bit the day before, obviously previewing the match, and here we are again. Lots of content this week: match previews, match reactions, live watch-alongs. No time to rest though, as I am back this morning to preview Manchester United's Premier League clash with Everton this weekend, as Ruben Amorim hopes to make it 2 wins in a row at home to keep his United tenure starting off on a positive foot. Today we're going to obviously talk about team news, talk tactics a little bit, and go from there. Sorry, guys. I just completely did the wrong stream. Hold on a second. I got my completely wrong notes open. This is what happens when you're tired and you're trying to do multiple things at once. You don't do it well. So, in any case, Everton preview later on. Today, match reaction as United come away with all 3 points against Bodo Glimt to land Ruben Amorim his first win as our new manager. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Amorim's post-match thoughts. I've got thoughts of my own. As always, I want to know your thoughts. Justin, long time no see, jumping in the chat. Hopefully you didn't catch my gaff there to start things off. But of course, aside from my thoughts and Amorim's thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts. So let's get stuck in. I want to start with getting your thoughts on team selection yesterday, because there were a lot of changes. I think there was like 5 or 6 changes from the Ipswich match. Starting 11 was a little interesting. The defense was pretty much what you would consider, our best back three, quite frankly. When everyone's fit, we had obviously Licha, De Ligt, and then Mazraoui. Oops, sorry. It is all kicking off today. Mazraoui, in terms of what he can do. I'm still back and forth on Mazraoui, as you guys know, trying to figure out what his back position is. But I think he makes a pretty damn good center back in a pinch, doesn't he? Perhaps the biggest surprise on the day, though, was Malacia starting in that left wing-back role. More on that a little bit later on. Mason Mount got a start in behind the striker alongside Garnacho, making up the 2 10s. Now, Amorim did say, if you remember, that Garnacho will operate really, really well in those channels, in those half spaces, in those tight areas. So it's up to you guys to decide how well you think he did. Mount, we'll talk more about Mount a little later on. Anthony picked up the nod at the right wing-back role, which meant, it's kind of where we all, well, maybe not exactly where, because we've all been talking about that left wing-back role, but playing him in that wing-back role is where we've all pretty much decided is probably in this system is going to be his best position, might be his only position. I don't see him playing really well in those tighter areas inside behind the striker. He's better wide. I'm not saying he's bad. He's like great, but he's better in those wide areas. But can he do that? Is that going to be his role? You guys, if you followed along with the watch along yesterday, I was praising Anthony, especially that first half. He had the most dribbles in the match over the 90 minutes. He was winning a lot of duels in the first half. I think in that first half alone, he had 6 duels. He was causing problems. He was breaking up play. He was getting involved. He was moving the ball. He was constantly popping up in the right spot at the right time. They actually, if you pay attention, Bodo Glimt started putting 2 players on Anthony about midway through the first half when he was getting the ball, because he was dangerous. Despite what you might think about Anthony, despite what some other people have said after the match, Anthony had a really good start to the first half, and he was probably one of our better players in that half, aside from like Mazraoui. But that much money for a squad player just isn't a good look. And while he did have a bright start to the match, Anthony kind of faded as the game went on, and to me, it still doesn't look like he's quite good enough for United. But we got to give him his flowers. He did really well that first half. Bruno was pushed back to midfield, operating next to Ugarte in pivot, so a little bit of a position change for Bruno. And then Hojlund routed things out in the 9 after Rashford pretty much started there versus Ipswich. Again, Hojlund was just coming back from Denmark duty. He wasn't quite fit today, or yesterday he got that start. So if you remember too, following the Ipswich match, Amorim pointed out our lack of physicality in that match with Rashford playing at the number 9. And so Hojlund definitely offers a bit more physicality. Honestly, one of the better players that night, Mazraoui. The dude is class no matter where he plays. But again, what is his best position in this system, Mesraoui? You guys let me know what you think. He reads the game perfectly. He's very, very good defensively. He's able to carry the ball. He's carried to pass the ball. He's able to operate in tight spaces, create space for himself. He can create in the final phase as well. That assist for Hojlund's second goal was a thing of beauty. And the way Hojlund took that goal was chef's kiss, that motherfucker. But Mesraoui was just unstoppable last night. 114 of 119 passes completed. It was the most passes in the match. 3 chances created. He won 6 out of 7 of his duels. He was a force of nature. Pretty much the entire defense was on point. Licha had 100% pass accuracy, and he made 79 out of 79 passes. He had 3 out of 3 long balls, 19 passes into the final third, 2 out of 2 tackles, 2 out of 2 ground duels. And if you notice, Licha is probably one of the best defenders you're going to ever have in this system because of the way we want to play and because of his ability on the left foot to pick a pass, his ability to create space. He's good on the ball. He's making a lot of those whipped left-footed balls either through the channel in the half spaces or around the outside to get into the wing back. And he did it well. Obviously, like I said, 19 passes in the final third. De Ligt was also excellent, 95 out of 100 passes. 4 out of 7 long balls, 5 passes in the final third. Again, compared to the Ipswich match where we didn't have everybody fully fit, Evans was playing in there and stuff. We were much better on the ball in defense. I thought that we just moved the ball quickly. Obviously, everyone's got excellent passing stats last night. I did think that we were a little too open at times in the back, especially in the first half. I think we were splitting a little too far wide. There were times when we were getting a little too far forward. But those are wrinkles to iron out. And I can't speak highly enough about Manuel Ugarte. The kid is just getting better and better every single match he plays. 61 of 66 passes, 4 passes into the final third, 2 out of 3 long balls, 1 out of 1 dribbles, 5 out of 6 ground duels, 2 interceptions, big chance created, and he got an assist. I mean, Manuel Ugarte has been one of the better signings that we've had in a while, and he just needed to play. It's a bit of a crime that Ten Hag, and again, Ten Hag's a manager. He knows what he's doing. At the same time, there are things that he did that I wouldn't do. And one of those is being just a little too hesitant, a little too almost legalistic to a fault when it came to fitness and things like that. It was like you read in a book somewhere, like, no, it takes this much time for a player to come back, and that's what you have to do. And he sticks with it. And it was like, you don't have to do that. Just let him play. Danny, jumping in. Good to see you again, my friend. So Ugarte's positioning and his reading of the game yesterday and his work rate showed that he can be exactly the kind of midfielder that Amorim needs in that system, not just someone who's typecast as a 6, as an 8, as a 10, someone who can do a little of everything when needed. And he did that. He was sweeping up, as we saw. We talked about that a little bit in the watch along, able to just do the dirty work quietly and go about his business, getting involved in the final third. He had an assist for one of Hojlund's goals that I thought was offside, and really it was offside if you look at it. But hey, we got away with it, but I'll take it. But his positioning with that is exactly like we saw from Casemiro early in the season, just linking up with Mount. He's exactly the sort of midfielder you need. You think like someone like Tijani Reinders, Orkan Kokshu, Douglas Luiz, Tone Koopmeiners, Conrad Leimer. These kind of players are the kind of players you really want in this system. Guys who can do a little bit of everything, who have the energy, who have the work rate. That's what I can see Ugarte. Rizal Gomez at Wolves, little shout out to Danny there. Guys like that really will excel in this system. And so big up Ugarte. The guy is just getting better and better and better. So what did Ruben Amorim have to say after it was all said and done? He was speaking to TNT Sports after the game. And on the match, he said, I think we did like 4 substitutions because of fitness of the players, not thinking what is best in the game. So he's saying like there are some players, clearly Malacia, Mount, these guys who just coming back from long-term injury, coming back from, not playing in a while. Anthony as well, who just, they're not quite there yet. Remember, Anthony was injured. He hasn't really played a lot. Malacia's been gone for like 500 some odd days. Mount, obviously, working back from fitness as well. They can't play a full 90 quite yet, and that's okay. But he's saying that's why we made some of those changes. He says, we're in that moment. We need the squad all together fit, and you have to take some risks, and that's it. I think in the last 10 minutes was tough. Felt Rasmus was dead. I felt that some players are really, really tired. Anthony came from injury. He had to go out. So you could see it. It was just, it's going to happen when you don't play that often, when you're coming back from injury and rest. Speaking on his decision to start Bruno in a deeper role, he says, you can feel it that he's the most experienced player. Sometimes we start the play and Bruno is the right man to start with the tempo of the play. Then they played with a back four. They closed really inside. We tried to switch play all the time, and Bruno was the best one doing that. So that's why I think he's a midfielder. You see this game, Mason Mount always with his back for the goal. It's hard. And Bruno, it's better with the goal in front of him. So Amorim may be hinting at a new role for Bruno in this system, which could be a bit of a shock for all of us. Maybe Bruno, like he's saying, is better when he's got the whole game in front of him and he can read the situation and he's not trying to be a link-up player with his back to goal. And to a degree, I believe him, right? But that also doesn't mean that Bruno is just going to have to sit in that deeper role. Like we saw from Ugarte, he will have an opportunity to move forward and get involved when the opportunity presents itself. So could be that Bruno is now the guy who's going to rotate a little bit with Manu. Maybe that means we expedite our search for a number 10. Is Nipan downloading, Danny? You let me know. Danny says he's better in the 8. He is better in the 8. I do agree. I think his chance creation is really good. I think that he's good at dropping deep to receive the ball. I have said that. He's also can cause problems in the final third as well. So if he's given that license to get forward, it's just up to Bruno to know when and how, and it's up to the tactics and the manager to just figure that out, what those opportunities are. But question now is, we can't kind of just revamp Bruno's career. He's 30 years old now, so we're going to have to eventually start planning for life without him. But for now, I'm not going to complain. He did what he needed to do. He is very good in that role today. And he does have the passing range that not many players have, so I'll take it. Talking about just early stages of, changing things up, Amorim said, yeah, I get anxious because I don't know what will happen. Because we don't control nothing at the moment. We're trying to see different things. Of course, we have an idea for each game, but I don't know the players, and we don't work a lot together. So we go to the game excited because we want to see different things. But at the same time, you are a little anxious and nervous because you don't know how the game will go. Of course, straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary there. Those are some of Amorim's thoughts. Get your thoughts in the chat because I'm going to dive right into my 3 thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on the road to 2K, as you can see down at the bottom. See the ticker? We'll do another giveaway when we get there. This is the giveaway for the next milestone for 2K. This is 21-22 home shirt. It is brand new. It is a large. It is the fan version, so that will go out to a lucky person. And then over the next couple months, you guys get involved with some of your feedback on moving forward. What kind of things do you think could be cool to do on the channel? In terms of maybe there's things for members, maybe there's ways to get more people involved. You guys let me know. This is your channel. This is your community. You guys got it where it is, and you guys keep it what it is. And so I like to get your feedback as always. So let's dive into my 3 thoughts, starting with number 1. Take a bow, Rasmus. Rasmus had arguably his best match in a United shirt last night, like hands down. Fight me if you don't agree. 2 goals and an assist is a hell of a display, and he's once again showing why he not only does he need to play, but why he needs more service from his teammates. Seriously though, we've been saying it for a while. I've been banging this drum for a while. Our front players don't try to find him enough, which is a shame because it's hurting our metrics in a lot of key stats. The shots that we're getting, we're not converting, our XG versus the goals we're scoring, those kind of things. But it's also keeping us from picking up points. Find your striker and he'll score. Like, it's not rocket science. Hojlund's movement was excellent, especially in and around the box. He was drawing defenders everywhere. He was trying to get on the end of things, going near post, going far post. I think he said some comments ahead of time, like Amorim was trying to tell him to move to the front post more. And it's like, of course, that's a no-brainer, but he's young. And again, this is also why Hojlund wasn't meant to be the starting striker. We were trying to buy an older striker as well to come in and help him learn some of that stuff as well. We thought maybe we could split the difference by hiring Rude. Who knows? But Rude's not here anymore. But Hojlund really could have had a hat trick if the goalkeeper hadn't had wrapped him up in his arms for that first one, and Garnacho came in to poke that home. Had Garnacho not been there, that probably would have been a penalty for us, and Bruno probably would have taken it. But I think that had Bodo Glimt not sat back so deep and pretty much sit in the low block, we could have probably seen more of a Hojlund speed, more of him turning off the shoulder of defenders, more of that overall way that a striker plays in Amorim's system in those channels, in those half spaces. Not every team is going to make themselves that compact, though, so we are going to see it eventually. It was just one of those matches where Bodo Glimt were happy to kind of sit in a low block. His 3 goal involvements though on the night, and the way we actually tried to find him more is why I'm not begging for us to sign someone like Gyökeres or Osimhen or something, because when our players stop being so selfish, they get their heads up, they stop being so wasteful, and they find Hojlund, he will be that kind of striker for us. I honest to God think he could get 25 goals a season if we can do that. He has it in him. When I think that we're just yet to see it because of the nature and the profile of the players that we have around him. Doesn't mean the rest of the squad aren't allowed to try to score, right? But it's about decision making. It's about getting your head up in those moments to give your team the best opportunity to score, whether that's them or Hojlund or whoever's in the best position. That's the way it is. Either way, I'm excited to see Rasmus cook, and you should be too. What do we got going on here in the chat, guys? Danny says, Nipan, Franco, Bakayoko, 89 million, Bashali, Davies, or Kirkes free. Get them done by the summer and sell Rashford and Dallo. Go get João Gomez. And Danny wants everybody. Yeah, I think we could see some interesting moves in the summer. I said it in the watch along. I texted Dylan, if you guys remember Dylan, he's been on a couple of times. Like, I could very easily see Dallo and Rashford maybe moving on this summer. And if that were the case, I could see that being like a 90 to 100 million windfall there in terms of just what we're going to get. And that could really allow us to rebuild. I think if you sell Rashford, you need to go get a really good player in that position, someone who's tailor-made for that position, someone like a Frimpong, a Davies, if you want. Bakayoko would be very good as well. I think you need to do that. Guys like Bashali for free, Nipan for cheap. It could be, we could really see some good moves in the summer. Danny says, striker isn't essential, but Rasmus injured, we screwed unless we try Obi Bianchir. Yeah, if Rasmus gets another injury, it's going to suck. And that's really a problem, could be a problem for him, is that it's hard for him to keep the momentum going and to build on anything because he picks up these really weird, like little back injuries more often than not. Then we might compete next season. Let's hope, man. I don't think it's going to take as long as it might have under previous ownership, under previous managers, for us to maybe get back to that kind of level. I'm not saying we're going to win the league or anything next time, but I think it's not going to take as long as it might have in previous setups. So number 2, chance missed for some. Now, this isn't just chances in front of goal, all right? This is the opportunity in terms of being a part of the squad, basically. Because we saw a couple players who maybe had a point to prove going into this, maybe have a point to prove with the new manager, maybe have a point to prove to their fans, that maybe didn't quite grab hold of that chance as well as they could have. I found myself walking a little bit of a line between excitement and apprehension when I saw Tyrell Malacia in the starting 11. As a fan, right, it's great to see him back in action after that long of injury and recovery. But also as a fan, part of me thought it was a risk starting him, and Amorim said as well, it was a risk with some of these decisions. And it was a risk that you could say arguably cost us a goal. There's a lot of rust there. He could tell early on he was energetic. He was trying to keep staying high, make those runs, make himself an option for the switch. That's the way we were trying to play. But as the first half went on, you could see that the fitness just wasn't quite there. He was getting hesitant when it came to putting a ball in the box. He was taking one too many touches when he just really needed to put one across the face of goal. He was leggy. It was very slow. And this led to him being completely done for Bodo Glimt's second goal after Zinkernagel left him in the dust and basically just carried the ball for the entire half of the pitch and put it away by himself. Malacia just got absolutely cooked on that one. So it was no surprise that he got hooked at halftime. And I'm not trying to pick him out. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Malacia. We did predict that change during the watch along as the first half went on. We could easily see him getting subbed off. And it happened. His Diogo Dalot came on. And while we're on the subject of chances missed, Dalot did not do himself any favors, in my opinion. His passing was very, very sloppy. It nearly cost us a few goals with these simple passes that were just way too underhit, completely intercepted easily, and just led to Bodo Glimt getting a counter, which you can't do when the team is setting up to counterattack, and we're a little vulnerable against that still. He was also switching off a little bit in defense, letting himself just get completely bypassed in our own box, which he's done for a couple of years now. And after Ten Hag's second season, after last season, we were hoping, okay, Dalot's raised that level of his game. He still had mistakes, but he was getting better, and then it just hasn't improved. So I could very easily see him getting sold in the summer. I'm not saying he was world class last year, but he was way better last year than he was this season. Even if he was still making some of the same mistakes, overall he was still better. He wasn't doing nearly as much. Is he too tired? Is he just not quality? It's up for debate. You guys let me know. But he is running out of time for a lot of fans. Some fans have already moved on from Dalot. The question is, how much time does Amorim give him to find a place in this system? We were speaking a little bit about transfer news during the watch along. We saw some Douglas Luiz rumors. I suggested maybe a Douglas Luiz swap, maybe for Dalot. We saw that he did well when he was on loan at AC Milan. Maybe the Italian league could be very good for him. I could see Dalot at a team like Juventus. You guys let me know what you think. I would definitely take Douglas Luiz though, any day of the week, because he was a guy I really liked at Villa, and I'd kind of moved on from him, like I said yesterday when he went to Juventus. I just thought that was it, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. That brings us to Mason Mount. He did start as one of the number 10s, which is kind of where some of us prefer him to play. It's just hard to see how everybody plays in that system. But I thought he was pretty anonymous in the first half, Mount. I forgot he was on the pitch, to be honest. It felt like Amorim, though, said something to him at halftime, because he came out a different player in the second half. He started pressing more. He was getting involved in the build-up and the link-up in the final phase of attack. He was covering every blade of grass. He was involved pretty much every time we were creating something to start that second half. His link-up play in the final phase was crucial for one of our goals. If you guys remember that, he was playing with his back to goal, had a cheeky little back heel flick to Ugarte, who was making that third-man run there. And Ugarte just put the ball across the box to Hojlund and got so really good. I guess you call it a pre-assist. That I guess that's a stat now that people are using. I mean, I get it. I'm just like, all right. So was it enough for Mason Mount? Probably not. We know Amorim really likes him, or at least that's what he said. So I think Mount could have a role. It's just I got to see him get more involved in the match. There's more matches that we've seen from Mount where he's not really been involved, or he's pretty much been anonymous, than times where he's been effective. And for a player who costs that much, if you're going to give him the number 7, sure. And again, none of this was on Amorim, but he's got to do better. I need to see more. And if he can keep playing, if he can take that first 15 minutes or so from the second half and play like that for like 70, 75, 80 minutes, he could be an excellent player for us, especially in this system. We haven't seen it enough, and I don't know if he's got that in him. Danny says he was way too close to Hojlund in first half. Second half, he improved. Could see him playing 3 or 4 games in a row. Yeah. If he gets more time, if he could stay fit, that's the key, right? Then I think, and he can play like that, I think we could see him cook. But it's all, just like Rashford, it's all up to Mount, and he's got to show. Just like Dalot, it's all up to him. He's got to show it. On Rashford, I thought he had another ineffective showing. He did come on as a sub, so simply going to be like, hey, you're being a little harsh. Not being harsh. It's not abuse. It's reaction. It's opinion. It's perspective. It is what it is. He did play for 30 minutes, so it's not like he had a little 5-minute cameo. He played for a half hour. He just wasn't involved. I think he had like 16 touches. He only played like 12, 13 passes. He had like one really, really good opportunity, but he just didn't even hit the target. He was one-on-one with the keeper and couldn't even put it on target. Just flashed it wide. And it's not a question of quality, because we know Rashford can do it. It's a question of mentality. He wants to sit here and go like this to celebrate. It's ironic, because that's exactly where his career is failing him right now, is right here in the gray. Can he put in the work rate to create for others, even when it's not an assist? Can he bust a gut off the ball to press or to track back when necessary if he's going to play in that wide role? Can he adjust or even completely change key aspects of his game at 27 years old to extend his career at United? Or is he going to maybe just kind of want to take his ball and go find a team who's going to play around him, basically? Like Amorim said the other day, Rashford has to want it. The question is, does he want it? You guys let me know your thoughts on Rashford. I'm going to move on to my third point here. Third point, number 3, in-game management. So it was one of the criticisms a lot of us had from Ten Hag, if you remember, was this inability to really respond to, as the game is going on, to what's needed or what's not working, inability to impact the game. His first system, Ten Hag was doing well. Like, his subs were involved in so many goals. I think we led the league for that stat that first season. But it just, as he got more of his players, as he started implementing his system, and it seemed like he was just sticking to it no matter what. And it did cost him in the long run. Danny says he needed to be sold last year. I mean, he did get that new contractitis. We'll see. I mean, it's always there's like this debate, right? Under a new manager, does everybody get a clean slate or not? You guys know how I feel. I don't think anybody gets a clean slate. I think some of these players who have been here for a long time have shown that they're just not here mentally, whatever you want to call it. Some of them are just not good enough. I don't think anybody should have a clean slate. It is what it is, but it's not up to me, is it? Rashford's one of the reasons Erik ten Hag is sacked. I think sticking with Rashford is probably one of the reasons Erik ten Hag is sacked, but whether or not that's Rashford or whether or not that's Ten Hag it's up for debate. Like I said, if a player is playing poorly, do you stick with him or not? That's the manager's decision, and the player needs to either reward that or they need to be benched. And a lot of moving parts there. But in terms of in-game management, right, while it was frustrating to watch us play the ball backwards, kind of like our first thought was to like stop, hold it up, play it backwards if we need to. It was clear that it was part of the plan. As I said, Bodo Glimt were happy to sit deep. They were making it hard to break down. Part of the plan was to open up that space by maybe playing it backwards, trying to draw them out a little bit, maybe giving some space. So then we can find these wide players and switch the ball. We played a lot of those balls to Malacia and Antony from deep positions, or Bruno. And again, a lot of this maybe was part of why Bruno was starting in that pivot, because for that passing range, but maybe Amorim did a lot of opposition analysis and saw that, and that's what he set out to do. But it didn't take long for us to see that Malacia was struggling when he received the ball, and it didn't take Amorim long to see it either, as he hooked him at halftime. And again, maybe that had to do with fitness as well, but he brought on Dalot. Without trying to take a dig at Ten Hag, it's just nice to see a manager to be not afraid to make those changes early, even if necessary. I don't mind it. If it's not working, it's not working, and it's just fine. It's better to make the change than to suffer as a result. And did you notice that it wasn't just Dalot doing what Malacia was doing as well? This is what I mean by in-game management. It wasn't just like, let's bring on Dalot and let's just keep playing that way. Like, no. Amorim knows that maybe Dalot is not going to be the best person in those wide positions, but Dalot operates better when he's moving inward, and that's what we did. So when he brought on Dalot, Garnacho actually kind of took over what Malacia was doing, holding the width a little bit. Dalot was moving inward, operating in those half spaces and working in those channels, and that's what I mean. It wasn't just like one decision. It was like in-game management inception. It was a change within the change within the change. And that is like that's like 4D chess kind of management. And it seems like it's mind-blowing for us as United fans because it's not what we're used to, but it's like simple management, just decisions, and it's getting the best out of your players. It's not just a like-for-like change. Amorim has a knack for working a bit of that magic, and he's got a definite knack for working it at halftime. Against Man City in the Champions League, or against Braga in his final match at Sporting, he made a few tweaks and apparently some crazy halftime talks, pretty much the halftime talk to end all halftime talks in those matches, because both those matches, the second half, was a completely different game. They managed to equalize late on in the first half against City, came out and scored 2 in like the first couple minutes. They were down 2-0 at halftime against Braga. They came back to win that like 4-2. And that was all halftime changes, whether that's a team talk, simple tactical tweak, whatever it was. That's what he's known to do. And we saw that against Bodo Glimt. 2-2 going into halftime. It was clear that Bodo Glimt were content with being compact and hitting us on the break. It just is what it is. Amorim lit a fire under Mason Mount, who, again, was largely anonymous in the first half, and he pushed Ugarte a little higher to get involved in those little triangles and those little diamonds in the final third in order to find a way to break through Bodo Glimt's low block, basically. And it worked several times. Mount came out at halftime, a different player, like I said. He used a lot of those little back heel flicks, those little quick and turns, those give and goes. Ugarte was not afraid to make those runs like we saw Casemiro do a couple times, and this is what led to Hojlund's second goal. We did that a couple times in the second half. Danny B says 100. He changed a lot tactically at halftime. The CBs were closer together too. Yep. And that was another change. So not only was Amorim able to get a few players to raise their game going into the second half, but he made a couple of those changes here and there to adjust the way the matches unfolded. Like you're saying, Danny, I said earlier, we were a little too wide in defense, made us a little too open. He made that a little compact. But these changes also saw United increase some stats in the second half. Our XG was raised, our shots raised, the big chances we created raised in the second half because we just made a couple little changes to adjust to things. And this ultimately led to Amorim picking up his first win as United manager, and it was at Old Trafford, so it was a bonus. There are still wrinkles to iron out. Our pressing and positioning sometimes in defense, like you're saying, Danny, let us down a little bit. I thought sometimes our defense, even Mazraoui's at time, a little too overzealous to get forward and press the ball. It does leave us exposed, leaves us open, leaves us easy to play through when the defenders are spread far too wide. And I think that another thing that's going to let us down, that's going to take some time, is the quality of some players and the mentality of some players themselves, the personnel basically, because that will be a hindrance. If you've got players who aren't willing to do it, players who just can't do it because they're not technical or their football IQ isn't up there, that will let any system down. It's like, you guys ever watched the movie 300? When Leonidas is explaining how a phalanx works, it's every person. If one person is a little bit off, the whole thing is exposed and vulnerable, and that's kind of what you get sometimes. Some of that can be solved in the transfer market. Some of it can be solved with some coaching and with time. And some of it, you just dip into the academy, maybe just reach out for a little bit, something different, get some of that energy, some of that precociousness, like someone like a Montato or an Ennis or an Obi Martin, a Kukonki, who knows. Danny says, Leach had a great game. Shaw was just as good. Yeah, I think, and we were talking about that in the watch along, Danny, like, Shaw, that's his position that he's going to have to play. It just is what it is. So it's going to be up to Shaw, not only to work and try to work with the physios and maybe work with his own personal trainer to try to prolong his fitness, maybe change things up to stay fit longer. But it's also going to be up to him to decide, do I want to rotate with Licha? Do I want to try to push to a different position? Am I happy with this being a role and rotating? He will get games. I mean, City for years have a bloated squad with a lot of good players because they play a lot of games. In Ten Hag's first season, we played among the most games in Europe. We were heavily involved in 4 competitions. And players are going to get 30 games in a season, whether if they split half the time with someone else. It's going to happen. So it's up to Shaw in that regard. But I do agree, he did have a really good game when he came on. I thought, again, he's getting a little too wide sometimes, but I think, it's hard sometimes to switch off the fullback mentality to the center back mentality, but he did just fine. He's reading the danger. He was good on the ball. He's good at creating space. He's very good. It's just he can't stay fit. And so I don't have a problem with that. A lot don't have that mentality. There are a few players who just don't quite have it. But Amorim will hopefully see that. Overall, it wasn't as straightforward as it really could and should have been. We nearly cost ourselves on a few occasions, but 3 points is 3 points. It didn't really make a big difference to our position in the Europa League, though, because we are 12th still on just 9 points. We're tied on points with our next opponent, Victoria Plezan, who have 3 draws and 2 wins. They're pretty much same results as us. We're only a place ahead of them because of a single goal, so it is nice to see our goal difference actually help us for once. Could be a big opportunity for us, though, if we manage to beat them. Rangers do play Spurs next, so we could actually jump ahead of one or both of those guys, depending on how that result goes, with a win next Thursday. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, though, one match at a time. If we didn't leave ourselves in the best position, Amorim kind of, again, walked into a shit situation, similar to Ten Hag, so let's not pretend it's all down to managers, but it will be down to the manager to figure a way out of it. And that's why manage is also a verb, not just a title, just like parent. People forget parent is also a verb. You got to actually do stuff. And so those are some of my thoughts. Let me know some of yours in these last couple closing seconds. I'm just going to dig into the chat here. Don't forget, too, the Academy plays later on this afternoon. I was trying to find a way to watch it, but it's the U21s who play today against West Ham. It's not on MUTV, of course, because why play it on MUTV? That would be too convenient for the people who pay money for MUTV. But hey, it is what it is. I wish I could watch it. I cannot. If it was going to be on MUTV, I probably would have done a watch along. But what are we going to do there? But you guys let me know your thoughts on the match. Who was your man of the match, by the way? We talked about this a little bit yesterday. My man of the match was Hojlund, not because it was hard, because Mazraoui had an excellent game, Licha had an excellent game, Ugarte had an excellent game, but you're going to always give it to the player who's getting 2 goals and an assist on the day, right? I mean, come on. So Hojlund had a really good match. I'm very, very excited to see Hojlund play some more, get some more minutes. Again, as some of the other players, just he's got to stay fit, and the players around him need to find him more. So should complain to them. I should. I know that was a big thing. Ineos kind of cut some of the academy coverage. Ineos made some cuts. I know, surprise, surprise. But what are you going to do? Some of the matches are played, some of them aren't. It seems like whenever there's another Premier League match on the same day, for some reason they don't put it. I don't know why another Premier League match with different teams has anything to do with our academy. Maybe it's just an infrastructure logistics thing in terms of getting the technology to Lee Sports Village, because Lee Sports Village is a bit of a drive. It's only like a half hour though, but I don't know. Maybe it's a technological, maybe, I don't know. I just don't get it, but we will see. I wish I could watch it, but I'll probably maybe try to find some sort of a dodgy stream somewhere if I can. Danny agrees. Yeah, Hojlund, Mazugarte after that. Yeah, we have really good players, and I think that with some more time, more minutes, it's all going to click. It's just we didn't leave ourselves in the best starting position for Amorim when he took over. Hopefully we can just keep it going. We need to build some momentum. It's been a while since we've had some momentum. This is back-to-back wins in the Europa League, back-to-back wins in Europe, which we haven't seen in years, so I'm happy with that. We'll be back tomorrow to preview this weekend's match against Everton. Hopefully we can get another win at Old Trafford for Amorim and build on something before we head into a bit of a tough fixture schedule. I think we have Arsenal after that, so until then, thank you guys for stopping by. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Sorry for the bit of a mix-up. I had my wrong notes open, so I started talking about the Everton preview, which will be tomorrow. But in any case, thank you, Danny. Thank you, Justin, for stopping by this morning. Thank you, everyone who joined in the watch-along yesterday. It was a fun time to sit and just chat with you guys. Cheers, Danny. I will see you guys tomorrow for that Everton preview. Don't forget to stop by. And if you're not able to catch the live, leave your thought in the comments. I will respond. But until then, take it easy. Enjoy your Friday and stay safe. Talk to you later.